Hello. Sorry I'm late. I got some phone calls and, life just happens. But today was the sentencing hearing for Anthony Dibiah. I'm somewhere.
Anthony Dibiah. But today was the sentencing hearing. I'm somewhere.
I have so many tabs open. I don't know where they are.
Sentencing hearing. I'm somewhere.
I have so many tabs open. I don't know where they are.
Sentencing hearing. I'm somewhere.
I have so many tabs open. I don't know where they are. There it is. Sorry about that. I'm terrible about clearing out my tabs, and then it was like hidden in the 25 that were at the top there. Yes, so the sentencing hearing for Anthony Dibiah was today at 1:30. Well, it was supposed to start at 1:30, but it actually got started around, let's see, 1:58. The judge wasn't there. I heard the bailiffs talking. She wasn't even there yet, and I guess she was in the hallway getting ready to come in, but it was supposed to start at 1:30. The first thing that happened was she called, I'm assuming that she called the defense team and the prosecutor back to her chambers, and then they quickly came back out, and we got started. When we first got there, I'm assuming she is the liaison for the prosecutor's office or the court. She came out and asked about victim impact statements, and Haley had written hers, and she asked if anyone else would like to speak, and I said I would, and then his grandmother said she would, and then she'd called me over to get my information and asked me how I knew Nakota. I'm obviously not going to lie. I didn't know Nakota. I know Haley. And because I have written the judge emails this week and last, and so she was like, well, I'll ask the prosecutor if you can speak in. I wanted to be like, well, it is a public hearing, but okay. So she asked the prosecutor, and the prosecutor told her the judge received her and I was like, well, yes, but I just got an email that they couldn't be submitted. The judge did receive them, but they couldn't be submitted into the record because I didn't check the right box. I didn't do it the right way. And then she just kind of walked off. So I wanted to address him. It was kind of funny because I was like, I do know him. And she was like, oh, I can ask the defense if they want you to speak on his behalf. And I was like, oh no, I won't be speaking on his behalf. They won't want me to speak. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say, because one of the main reasons that I wanted to speak is because I can attest to the fact that that man is not mentally ill. And they didn't go with like a temporary insanity. It was a full on, they had a social worker who evaluated him, and it was full on schizophrenia from the time he was 8. He received 52 years, 1,180 days credit for I'm assuming for the 3 he's served already. And then he walked in, didn't didn't necessarily look down or away, but he didn't make any, if that makes sense, didn't make any eye contact with anyone. I wanted him to see me there because I know that we met enough that he's going to know my face, you know? I wanted him to see me there. Because he knows that I know the truth about him. And it's sad that they wouldn't just, the prosecutor could have, the judge could have, I gave her the dates, the times, you know, of when I met with him so that they themselves, that his mental illness is not a mitigating factor. Because he's clearly not schizophrenic. Like, you guys heard the audio. And that's just one. And that one was the one where it was a serious conversation. The other recordings that I have are me and him just, you know, shooting the breeze and him telling me about his life. And I have a cousin that has schizophrenia. I know what schizophrenia looks like. And it doesn't look like him. He looks like a psychopath. He's a controlling narcissist. And that's how I was able to get him to believe me, was I played on his ego. And there's no way, and unmedicated at this time, mind you, okay? No medication, because the evaluation didn't happen until 6 months ago. So an schizophrenic, you're going to try to, or schizoaffective disorder, is going to be able to hold a conversation, and literally to the point where, I mean, he never, you don't want to know why he said, sometimes I hear voices? My son is gone, sometimes I hear voices. Do you want to know why he sent that to Haley, Kelly? Because this was premeditated. That's why. This is a man, when she dropped him off a little bit late so that he could attend his last baseball game of the year, his father was irate. Most fathers would want to go to that game for their son. Not this one. He had missed every other weekend. If he had a game every other weekend, he missed it because his father is a controlling a-hole. That's why. And this was his way of controlling her and Nakota, because he doesn't see them as partners, as a son. He sees them as property. You will obey me. And I quote, he said to her when she dropped him off a little bit late, she stood up to him. He said, "This is the last time I will work with you." That was on Friday. He killed him late Saturday night. He put a bag around his head and suffocated him. And then he took him to the bathroom and he dismembered this little boy. There's receipts for what he bought. He took pictures. We found that out today. He took pictures of his dead son. And 52 years is, you know, I think he should get the death penalty. I mean, he's just flat out evil. But 52 years, you know, on a plea deal for a guy that is an illegal alien. So that was a aggravating circumstance today, was the fact that he has federal felonies for... So a schizophrenic is able to deceive insurance. It was identity fraud. He stole the identity of the family that was hosting him. He's been here since he's 19, okay? He is now 40. Yes, apparently he grew up in Guinea and then Nigeria. And they tried to use that as a mitigating factor and a part of why he didn't receive treatment. Because this guy that is completely unaware, in one moment she says, you know, he's unaware of it, but yet there was a complete contradiction, because now he's saying he was aware of it when he was 8. he was having symptoms and telling his mom about his symptoms. The lady, I don't remember her name, but I mean, she was just like a hot mess for one. She was like tripping all over the place. It was like, what is wrong with you? It was like, I don't know. It was very strange. The clinical social worker, I guess she does have whatever her degree is. She is licensed to diagnose. But this is a diagnosis that's on, okay? Like, and then he, so he's aware of this when he's living in Nigeria, right? But when he gets to the United States, he doesn't know how to seek mental health. And this is a guy that dragged her through the ringer in the court system. He did that. He set all that up. The schizophrenic guy, was able to do all of that successfully, and to get the judge somehow on his side that he could have unsupervised visits. Haley wasn't trying to take Nakota away from him. She was trying to keep him safe, because there was red flag after red flag, and this is a little boy that has been failed by the system repeatedly, over and over, and he was failed again today. He was failed today. The reason why is because he was not, as a part of this 52 years, he was not made to tell them where he put Nakota. Haley told me in the hallway that she received the call from a prosecutor the day before, and let her know that he has no intention of telling them where Nakota's body is. That was brought up by the prosecutor. Very weak argument. She put forth not a lot of effort, in my opinion. But she did put forth an argument for the aggravating factors of, one was his criminal history. My friend, thank God for her, she went with me today to take notes. And just remember, internet, pay for like the highest speed internet that you can possibly get through um, AT&T, but doesn't always work. But what was I even talking about? Where when it cut out? I don't know how long it's been spinning for you guys. Um, but yes, thanks to a friend that went along with me to write because, like you guys, I've already talked to you guys about my writing in the court. I'm dyslexic, so I'm pretty sure I tried to write her a note on here, and it was not legible. I can't write. I can type just fine. Yeah. I no idea what I wrote. I'm sure she was like, huh? Yeah, it's not. I just can't write. It's annoying, but it really only affects me in a courtroom, which I have been to several at this point for families because they don't seem to have adequate victims advocacy um, help through the courtrooms in Newton County and now in Marion County. She has not had any help. Day one, didn't even bother to tell her that the hearing was canceled. If she would have drove all the way from Wabash, but it was during COVID, so remote hearing. But we spent all morning trying to set up her internet so that she could view this. This is the first hearing, and the only I'm the one that told her that it was canceled 20 minutes before it was supposed to take place. So there needs to be some reform. Um, I just don't understand how you go from he has no intention of telling them where his body is, and he knows exactly where his body is. um, make no mistake about that, because that was all that was important to him, is hiding him so well that his mother could never have him back, and he got away with it today in court. He will serve his sentence in the Department of Corrections and not in a mental institute, so that's good. That's where he belongs. He belongs there for the rest of his life. He belongs rotting in there, because I'm sure, once he gets out, Nigeria's not going to take him back. Definitely not now. They wouldn't take him back then. Makes you kind of wonder, like, what did he get up into prior to coming to the United States? And why is this man allowed to terrorize her from the time he got out of federal prison? There's a rule. ICE can only hold you for so long. I don't claim to. Maybe Freckle Joy is in here. She can shed some light on that for us. But they can only hold someone for so long in the detention center. I believe that's what it's called. Before they just have to let them go. So, of course, him being the con man that he is, needing somewhere to live and to be, he called her, and when the first person to take the stand was to give a victim impact statement was his grandmother, Haley's mom, and she did an amazing job. She spoke to the fact that she felt like the judge presiding over the child custody and the child protective services, the social worker that was involved, and the judge, that they used her foster being a This is really annoying. I'm sorry, guys. Um, I don't know. Um, yeah, thanks. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We've turned off all of the Wi-Fi to all the other devices, so I think it's on StreamYard. I know that. Who was I watching the other day? They were having trouble with StreamYard too. Mob Crew, yeah, he was having trouble with it too. So I don't know. I think it's on StreamYard end, but uh, I don't know where I was. This is not turning out well, and it's not helping that I am like still upset. You know, it's not helping. Um, okay, so his grandma spoke, and she talked about the fact that when he got out of federal prison, you know, he needed somewhere to live and somewhere to, you know, and he wanted to get back together with her. Now, this is a guy, he wrote her a letter in federal prison when she found out, like, he um, was arrested. She didn't even know who he was. Like, he didn't even tell her, like, his real name, real information. It was just a real con man, you know, like, and then he gets you know, they come for him, and then she finds out that he is an illegal alien and he's going to federal prison, and at the same time, you know, right after that happened, she finds out that she's pregnant with Nakota, and she lets him know, and he was irate, and he did not want um, Nakota. And so his grandma brought that up, and the fact that he didn't have where to go, so he went to her, and she didn't take him back, and he tried to control her in any way that he possibly could, and that was with Nakota, and that Haley played by all the rules. You know, she did everything right. The school advocated for him. She advocated for him. His grandparents advocated for him. He advocated for himself, and they failed him. That just it. I want you to also see that this schizophrenic guy has the ability to be charming. It's superficial, but he can be charming. Hello? I don't know where that lady got her degree, but she ought to lose it. That's ridiculous. And she spoke to the way that from the very first unsupervised visit that Nakota had with his the abuse started immediately. Neglect. She said that, and he would feed him one Lunchable a weekend. He ignored him. You guys saw the pictures of when I'm pretty sure it was for his birthday. Nakota wanted to color his hair. You know, like it was. I remember it was on trend for boys to kind of have that, like, blonde tips, and Dibiah had said, absolutely not. My son will not have that. And she went ahead, and I don't even know that if he knew. I mean, she doesn't have to tell him those things. But when his dad saw his hair, he was irate, and he then made him go into a gas station and buy things, and he took pictures of him And he took him in there to shame him and embarrass him and made him wear a shirt over his head. And then he took him home and he crudely shaved that little boy's head. Crudely. You know, and the court saw that. The court saw those pictures. They're a part of the court record. And then they made her keep making him go back over and over again. There's multiple stories you can read about. Accidentally pushed him down the stairs. No. He is just a brutal, selfish, spiteful, controlling, domestic abuser. That's what he is. He's not schizophrenic. And she, you know, asked him, you know, where is he? What did you do with him? That's all they want. That's all they want. And then Haley, Kelly, his mother, was next. And that poor woman. I mean, we're standing at the front. The front desk at the courthouse, you know, trying to get directions to Judge Shatrice Flowers' courtroom. And she was just shaking. But this was one thing that she'd said, and it was a quote from Nakota. And he'd told her, you know, and the social worker and all the other people, you know, like, once you have someone, this is a quote, once you have someone in your life, you can't just throw them away. Speaking about his dad. And that even though his dad mistreated him, he still loved him because he was his dad. And he wasn't going to throw him away. Yet his dad threw him away. And before he threw him away, he took a chainsaw or some kind of a saw, and he sawed his own child up into parts. And then he put his parts in 3 different trash bags. Does do you get that? Like, because do they not get that? And she'd said, you know, if he was truly sorry, he would tell us where Nakota is. He doesn't have any remorse. He's a con man. And he's been a con man since he came here to this country illegally. When he was 19 years old. He's now 40. So it looks like her last name was Vance. Caroline, maybe? I'm having trouble reading her handwriting. Is a social worker. She's been seeing him for 6 or 7 months. And remember, he doesn't have any prior medical history, so they're just going off of his, you know, word. And look what he, you know, was able to do in the civil courts. This is a very highly manipulative man. And she obviously isn't well trained enough to see through that. So the first time that he's diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder is in jail. And that he's had it for quite a while. Um, um, I don't know what MDD is with psychosis. Maybe someone in the chat knows. Um, there's no historical data. No, no other medical history whatsoever. No other indication of his mental illness. Not from anyone. Um, that he was, she testified to the fact that he told her that he started having symptoms when he was between 8 and 10 years old, which is atypical. She did admit that is an atypical presentation for a schizoaffective schizophrenic disorder. It is rare, very rare to have it. It usually is in late teens, early 20s. So the early onset says that because there was an early onset, that indicates to her that there is a higher level of severity here. It's ridiculous. All they needed to do was go and listen to the recordings, the phone calls that are recorded. All the phone calls to an inmate are recorded. The virtual visits are recorded. All they had to do was go and watch those. And they would definitely know that he's playing them. You got played. His family was aware around 13 or 14 was when they reported having seen symptoms. But in there, they try to use that to his advantage, the cultural differences of why he didn't receive any mental health help was because his family believed in like prayer, and she brought up I think she used the word, it was either voodoo or witchcraft, and but it, I mean, I did a study on smaller areas in Ghana, Benin, all around in there. I mean, it is voodoo is the practicing for the culturally, and it is all about like luck and things of like your to have any thing like that. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. Because and then it was a contradiction for her to say all these things of why he didn't get treatment, but he came to the United States when he was 19 years old. He was able to hold down a job. He was able to do all of that trickery, but he did get caught. He stole the family, the son. He stole the son of the family that hosted him, that had him come over here. And then, I mean, he was charged with like 4 different things. Like he was able to do all of that with schizophrenia, full blown, because he's had it since he was 8. Get out of here. It's a joke. It was an absolute joke. Yeah. And the thing is with schizophrenia, schizoaffective, it's called egosyntonic disorders. You are not aware. So you have ego dystonic, which would be like OCD. Egosyntonic would be schizophrenia. Like they're not aware that they have this. They don't tell, oh, I'm hearing, it is something like with my cousin, or my coworker, like, you have to, if you try to tell them that what they're hearing or seeing or their delusion is not real, like, just simply answering a question of like, no, I don't hear that. Um, and I've seen this happen. They literally get irate of like, you're now in on the conspiracy you do hear it and you're trying to trick me, you know. But you can look it up in the DSM. So it's just like, self-diagnosed schizophrenic. Ask a real psychiatrist how many times they see that. It's ridiculous. Um, he's on an anti-anxiety med, and some kind of antipsychotic now, but he really needs to be, and they don't offer that in the jail or prison. But she recommends that he be on Halidol injections. Um, there's just simply no proof. And then the explaining away why he took pictures of his son was an OCD. This is what she said on the stand. Like, it's like he finished a task. Like how in OCD it was a compulsion. That's what she said. It's a compulsion that he did that. It's a part of his mental illness that he did that. I'm sorry. It's just it's absolutely, it's ludicrous. And it was like, this is a respected, like, courthouse. Like, this, like, it was just so disturbing to, like, and it wasn't even questioned. It went the prosecutor did not have a redirect of any questions of this lady, this diagnostic lady. Not a single one. Judge neither. None of them did. Yeah, but his diagnosis is an OCD, even though she brought it up to explain away why he took the picture of, like, it's a completed job, it's a compulsion. Like, he did that because, of the OCD. Um, yeah. And then the okay, so he's like, how was the child custody court not able to see that they were giving this child over to a schizophrenic? I'm telling you guys, he's not schizophrenic, he's a psychopath. And sitting across from him, screen to screen, um, was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Literally, just to be in that capacity in his presence. Um, um, he wasn't made to tell. Um, yeah, it was just like there were so many contradictions. of like, well, he's not aware of it, but yet he's the one reporting it. Like, oh, what? Like, what is going on right now? Like, is anybody else picking up on the ridiculousness of this right now? Like, I don't even know. Um, so the mitigating factors was his mental illness, um, and that he was remorseful because he said that, and he was acting all demure, and like his was soft spoken. You guys heard the audio. He's loud and well spoken. And he showed up looking spiffy, Not to the first virtual visit we had, he looked just like he did today. The second one, however, clean shaven, fresh haircut, fresh inmate digs, and then because he was well spoken in the very first time I saw him, and I even commented like, "Oh, you don't look like your YouTube videos. Like you look completely different. You look like you're insane." And so he's able to manipulate the way he looks. And then we talked about that too because I had brought that was one of my ways of playing on his ego was to talk about how I liked his YouTube videos and how he was trying to help people during COVID, and that I like the fact that he works out because I work out too, and I make up my own routines, and I thought that was really cool because I use the bands as well. And man, like guess who started working out again? Anthony Dibiah, the schizophrenic. Yep. This went on from March to July in 2021, mind you, okay? Just healed right up from the schizophrenia for that time, I guess. That's probably something absurd that this lady would say. It's just absolutely absurd. I want to know why those lawyers. I want to know why Brian Kevin Lamar was replaced earlier this year by those two. And I have to wonder if that doesn't have anything to do with the Indiana Department of Child Services and the civil case. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it. I want to know. He didn't have two nickels to rub together. And I asked him, because he kept asking me for money. You will come down to the jail and put money on my books. No, I won't be doing that. But he told me that, I'm like, well, can't you ask your family? And he's like, they don't speak to me. And like they don't have mail. Like they don't have a phone. They don't have a way to, and I was like, you can't even write him a letter. He's like, no, there's no mailman. So how does a guy that has absolutely nothing, and the family that he has here are the ones that turned him in. And one of them wrote to me on the page, and they are not on his side. They're not on his side. So who funded, like, how did this come to be? Because it says detained, not public defender, like Brian Kevin Lamar was, who, when you just go listen to that video, he says it several times that Brian Kevin Lamar knows where Nakota's body is. He said that he told him. I don't know how that guy sleeps at night. I don't know how any of them sleep at night. I don't know, and Emily Longnecker, I got to meet her today. She's super sweet, and she's even more beautiful in person. But we were talking about this, and like just like this is the cold truth of it. This is what has gone on, and like this the over and over and over of failing this little boy, and how now he will never tell. He's never going to tell where Nakota's body is. And the best we can do, like the only thing that I think of that's left to do is that local and major media will pick this story up, and that we will be able to get someone to that is trained, like SARS training, and like a team, like we need a search team, like a professional search team. There is no money for that. So we need it to be volunteer, and there was no extensive search for Nakota. There was a few hours on the day. One day, like, and even the officers that I spoke with, and my cousin can attest to what they said. Don't Because they wanted to know, like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, we're here because there's a baseball field, and it just seemed like something a spiteful person would do. And we found this, like, freshly dug up hole with a kid's toy in it and a phone chip. Like, we're like, we are gonna, like, because the phone chip and the kid's little toy was, like, right on the top of, like, the freshly dug up dirt. So we just, like, stepped away from this place and called the police. And they were like, but why are you here? Because his phone pinged, just down the road a little bit. And I'm like, well, you guys already searched there. And he was even like, turn his, like, oh, please, like, we only have a limited amount of resources. Like, please go back there. Please go back and, like, search that area. And then me and my cousin we tried to, and it's dangerous. It's not a safe area. We need a lot of people. You just, like, two people going. It's like literally a needle in a haystack. But that's what I can hope, is that and I also, Jesse, from Fox 59 was there as well. Jesse gave me his card. No, you guys know who he is. Like, he's a pretty cool guy. But like, we need their help. Like, we need their help. We need it because everyone else has failed this little boy. They failed his mother, and it's just really sad. So it was the judge's turn. I don't know if she was having a bad day, because, like, I've seen, like, there's usually, you can watch her courtroom on the live feed on Indy.gov. Today it was off, though, and the reporters that had requested it be, they'd be able to film this, were denied. They were given permission last week, but they were denied for this hearing. And yeah, of course they were. And what's so upsetting is I'm the only one that's going to be able to, like, just off the cuff. Hey babe, can you shut the door? Thanks, I forgot. Just kind of off the cuff, like, this is what happened today, and, like, really tell, like, all of the nitty gritty of that ridiculous, poor excuse for whatever she is, social worker, that did his evaluation for his mental illness of schizophrenia. He is still indigent, so he's not going to have to pay any of the court fines. He's sentenced to 52 years in the Indiana Department of Correction with no time suspended, except for the 1,180 days that he has served. And then they said something about a Class B credit, but so that's why it was confusing. I figured we would take a look at the maybe they wrote about it. And okay, so it says this was Emily Longnecker. An Indianapolis father was sentenced to 52 years in prison for the murder of his 10-year-old son in July of 2020. Anthony Dibiah will get 3 years credit for the time he spent behind bars since the killing. Dibiah, 40, pleaded guilty but cited a mental illness as part of the plea agreement reached in September. In the court sentencing, Nakota's mother, Haley Kelly, told the court that on most days it's still hard for her to breathe, knowing her child is gone. What Kelly still doesn't know, though, is where Nakota's body is. Coming out of court after the sentence, Kelly wondered if she will ever know, saying she didn't believe Dibiah when he told the judge he was sorry for what he did. Quote, if he had remorse, he would tell me where my son is. Yes. For 3 years, Dibiah has refused to say what he did with Nakota after killing him. Quote, I think he did it to hurt me, and he got what he wanted out of it. He got what he wanted out of it. According to the probable cause affidavit, 2 people, a friend and a distant relative, called police and said Dibiah had called them saying he had killed his son, 10-year-old Nakota Kelly. The first call to police came on July 18th, 2020 from the relative. Police went to Dibiah's apartment to do a welfare check. After 10 p.m., no one answered after they knocked on the door. But officers heard someone inside. Determined they did not have reason to force entry, and they left. When the police spoke to the initial caller, the distant relative, he said he and Dibiah had not spoken for nearly 20 years until they reconnected in June of 2020. During that time, Dibiah told him that he had been facing custody issues with Nakota. When Dibiah called to say he had killed Nakota, he said that he was because Nakota's mother had given him a hard time and cost him a lot of money in court. Schizophrenia. The second call came 1 day later from a friend. The friend said Dibiah asked to borrow a suitcase. And after the friend said yes, Dibiah called back and said he'd suffocated his son using a bag. The friend said Dibiah told him he took the boy's body to the bathroom to make sure he was dead, dumped it, and had left the state. When police got to Dibiah's apartment on Indy's west side at 11:45 a.m. on July 19th of 2020, there was a crime scene, but neither Dibiah nor his son were there. Officers found blood and brain matter in the bathroom and blood in the room, and his hair swept up. Hair in the bathroom, his hair. And hair swept up with a broom in the kitchen. Officers knew Dibiah was traveling west based on cell phone information. He didn't turn his phone off the whole time, so that isn't part of the affidavit, and that's why Hoosier Cold Cases and I and Ivy and a few others that don't want to be named, we pinned that all out. We worked it all out, and there's like an hour and 47 minutes that is extra time that he wasn't just driving from Indy to Missouri. Nakota was not in the car with him, and the troopers took him to the Macon County Jail in Macon, Missouri. IMPD went to Missouri to pick him up, and they found evidence leading them to believe the boy had died. There was so much blood that and it was Nakota's, that they don't need a body to charge him with murder. So that is not what this is about. And Dibiah knows this. He spoke to this in those audio recordings in my virtual visits. Because it could be like, oh, well, if they don't have a body, then I can get away with this, and that's not it. That is not it. He knows that um, that they have plenty of evidence. Um, they have a he took a picture, and that was a thing that the person that reached out to me on Facebook. I wish they would again. They reached out and then they deleted their account, and like all I wanted to say was like thank you for the information, and I will try my best, because they were pleading with me to get the truth out there. And the truth, what they said, that he called them, and that I thought they said that he FaceTimed and they saw Nakota's body, but maybe it was a pic. They sent a picture of Nakota's a dead body to someone. That poor person, I feel really bad for them. My dad is going to kill me, is what he said on July 14th. Nakota said Dibiah was angry at him because he'd hung up the phone when he didn't want to talk to his dad, because his dad was yelling at him. The court documents state the DCS representative contacted Haley 2 days later about the claim, saying the weekend visitation was required because it was court ordered. Thus, so knowing that Nakota said this, nope, it's got to go. It's required. And remember, the judge had told her that if you don't send him, I'm going to take away both of your kids. And that's the thing that always ticks me off about people that are ignorant or just plain stupid or just not good people, that they assume that women stay in, or men in, abusive situations because and they don't feel sorry for them if they stayed after the first time. Most of these women stay because of this right here. The thought of your children being alone with someone that you know is a monster, but you are required to get to leave them with him. That's why they stay. So she was required to. The mother sent another complaint to the social worker on the afternoon of July 19th, saying that he had sent her a text. Sometimes I hear voices. My son is in heaven. And it got a little twisted on the news. I did notice that of like his grandmother was speaking to that particular comment. And I had talked to her prior, so I know what she meant when she was saying that. She meant that, yeah, we knew he was going to do, not that they knew he was insane. He was just he's just a bad person, and that when he sent her that, they knew he was already premeditatedly setting up this mentally ill defense. And she's right. When he first called Haley to tell her what he did, he said, "I hear voices." We knew this is where it was going. I mean, of course he was mentally insane to do something like this, said Debbie Bogue. But I don't think that's like what she, like, because we talked about that. I don't think that's what she meant. Haley, who lives in Wabash, filed a wrongful death complaint against Dibiah, who she shared custody of Nakota with since he was 6 years old. Haley also filed a complaint against the Indiana Department of Child Services for negligence associated with the wrongful death. Nakota at first was excited to go to his dad's, and then all of a sudden he wasn't excited anymore, and I knew something was wrong. Haley told News 13. Saying she called DCS 6 times in 4 years to report what Nakota was telling her. He was a good-hearted kid. He would protect anybody that was hurting, Haley said. And there's so much more to this story. There's so many more people. The school, other people, his mother, him, that advocated for himself, and they failed him. They didn't listen. They didn't believe him. They believed the schizophrenic. You see how absurd it is? Um, but yeah, the judge was like, I don't know. She was wearing a mask, and I mean, she was like far away from everyone. And she was very hard to hear. And I've seen her in court before, and like, I don't know, she was different. Like, she came in and like, it was like super awkward because you have to stand, and usually, like, Judge Moulter was so engaging, I guess. Like, he immediately comes in and, and speaks to um, the whole courtroom. She came in and had like like a that wipes and was just like cleaning the desk, um like literally like the wipe, the antibacterial wipes you pull out of the thing. Like, she was like just like cleaning the desk up and like doing all of this stuff, and it took her a little minute, and then she settled down in her chair. And she was very hard to hear. Like, I couldn't hardly hear her at all. So that's why it was like we were struggling to take notes because we couldn't hear her. Um, so that's the day. Yes, Kate Piecemeal. It was very bizarre. Hey, Frank. And um, thank you so much, Lake. Prayers, maybe more searches. That's what we can hope for. That's like my next goal, though. I am going to try to speak to him one more time. And I think, like, I'm going to have to get with my group of friends and, like, really think about this. But I know that I'm in a good mental health place right now. Back then, I was, coming off of literally back-to-back surgeries, and I had been ill for months prior to both of those surgeries with infection, and just that's why I had to have them. And they were both like emergency, like, we can't wait. That's why they were back to back. And I was in the hospital. I mean, it was just a really bad, I was not in a good place, but I am now. And so, like, I want to try one more time. Um, and I'm definitely not going to rely on the police, the prosecutor, the judge, or anyone else. I'm going to ask him to tell me where he put Nakota. That's my only regret, is that I was so naive that I trusted that people actually cared, um, in law enforcement and in the prosecutor's office and in the courtroom, that people actually cared about um, something like this, that they would, follow through. And I can't say that they didn't. I don't, they, all I know is that he called me. This happened on Friday afternoon, and I called immediately after, and I spoke with I think it was the non-emergency line, and then I was transferred to the investigative team. I want to say his name is um, and the detective, I believe it was Monday, he called me back, and like, he had even said, he's like, well, where did he tell you where? And I was like, no, like, I thought that would be really overstepping my place as a civil, just like, I'm not anybody, I'm not law enforcement or anything like that. Him to tell you, and he said that if you go there, he will tell you. So will you please go there? And I even told him, I'm like, he could be lying, but like, at least try. I called the what I thought was calling the prosecutor's office and the judge, and I was told that they couldn't hear any of that. It would, like, some kind of, like, acted like it was gonna mess up the case or something, and was told to call the, which I did. And I know that they hadn't been to see him by Thursday. Well, um, I'm trying to remember because he called me on Monday and they hadn't come. And then I was like, well, like it was Friday out like night. They called me today, like I'm sure, they'll come. And then he called back on Tuesday and they hadn't come. And he was like, well, why don't you call my lawyer? And I knew I was not going to call his lawyer. Like his lawyer is going to see right through me, like, um, and so I told him, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try that. And so he called me back the next day and they hadn't come, and he said that, like, he's like, well, did you call my lawyer? And I was trying to like like play it off, but and then I'm assuming that he talked to his lawyer because he didn't try to call me again. And I mean, I didn't, I was done on the 23rd, July 23rd of 2021. I had planned to never speak to him again. I just thought that they would go and then he would tell them, and they would find Nakota's body. That was what I want. Like, that's why I did it. And I don't know. I just don't care. I know that the judge read my letters, um, but obviously she didn't. I even I gave her the dates of like um, the the recorded, like she could hear it for herself. She could literally look at him and see, like he's literally said over and over in that last audio on July 23rd that he said he told his lawyer twice in in that audio, and that he knows exactly where his son is, like, and I believe he does because of his intention. He didn't intend to get away with this. He called people, he told people, he showed people pictures. He took him to the bathroom to make with. He dismembered this poor little boy, and he drove him from in 3 states. That was what he intended to do, was to hide his body. He did not intend to get away with this crime. Um, and that's why he drove to Missouri. I don't think it has a thing to do with him trying to get away, which, he'd probably stay on the run until he got caught. But he did nothing in the apartment to clean it up, to hide what he had done. It was as he left it. The vehicle, but there was dirt and there was blood, and there was enough evidence that they were able to determine that this little boy did not survive with this much blood loss. And I mean, there's brain matter on the floor. You're not alive when your brain matter's on the floor. And I know I'm sounding like really blunt and like harsh, and I'm doing it on purpose. And I'm not doing it to hurt anyone. I know Haley knows all of this, and that has to be her reality, that she knows all of this. But these are the circumstances of this little boy's life, and I begged the judge, like, he's been failed over and over again. Please, you are the last one. She didn't even ask him. Didn't even ask him. Didn't even ask him. But thank you, like. Yeah. Right? It was insane. Wiping the baseboards and 30 minutes late wasn't going to change her mind, no. Hey, Justice Served Daily. Good to see you here. Hey, Amy. And you say 3 trash bags. That's what I was told, because it was a brand new. He went and bought those. They were part of the receipt from Lowe's. And so with the one that they found, they found one in the one of the trash receptacles in the apartment. You know, the big, like, what is it, trash bin, whatever. And there were four missing on a brand new. So they found one. There's three still missing. And if you, in the other evidence to that is where the timing, so I can pull that up. Um, um, just a second. Computer is just really old. It's not. I'm going to share my screen and let you guys just kind of look at what I'm looking at, where I get to it. Can you guys still hear me? I feel ya, Chris. Just need to get my mind and head clear and lose my emotions before I get upset at the people who are covering. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm back. You can hear me okay? I'll try to share my screen. If it goes out again, I'm just going to end it and take the issue up with StreamYard. I'll turn my camera off so hopefully it acts better. But this is the Finding Nakota Kelly on Facebook. This is his page. This is the day that my cousin and I went out searching. My cousin and I this was on December 3rd of 2020. My cousin and I went out searching yesterday, although we found some really weird items at Thatcher Park. IMP told us the items were unrelated to Nakota. The officers were so nice and very helpful for our future searches. Do not touch or disturb and to call them immediately. One of the officers was first on the scene at Nakota's dad's house. His body language alone told a story of horror and they walked into that day. He said thank you to them for their service, and they just didn't seem big enough for all they do. Oh, I was meaning just like IMPD, like it was overwrought. It's so busy and see on a daily basis. Hug your kids close. Monsters are not only in the shadows. But this was some of the little things we saw. So you're obviously like, this was how this is how it was. This is what it was. And then like we kind of stuck a stick in there just to see like if it was like soft. But I mean that was like super sus to me. And then these were just some of the things that we found around the area. And there's a chip of some kind in the toy. And then this happened in December, and it was just like this, like we'll never find him like this. And I couldn't get anyone I had called different foundations to try to get search and rescue teams and never got any emails or anything back. So I was just like, okay, well, what else can I do? And then that's when I reached out to Haley and told her what I wanted to do by contacting him. And she gave me basically like a get to know him, a profile of him. And then my friends and I, came up with the persona that I was going to play I felt like this was we had a way better chance of finding Nakota if I could get him to focus on me and not on Haley, and that he might tell where the body is. And I feel like it worked. But I just don't feel like I don't feel like anyone followed up. See if this opens. Is it working? Were you guys able to see that when I shared? Can you hear me and everything? Okay. Yeah, there's some of his aliases. He came to the United States in 2002 illegally with an assumed name. He eventually stole the identity of the teenage son of a Nigerian family he was staying with in North Carolina. He was reported for this in 2011 and sentenced to 36 months in federal prison for identity theft, social security fraud, and misusing documents to enter the United States. All with active severe schizophrenia. Um, Upon his release in 2014, his own country of Nigeria refused to take him back. He was released. I said ISIS, but I meant ICE. Sorry. And returned to Indiana. On October of 2016, he petitioned the court for custody of Nakota, the son he did not want, and demanded proof of paternity when Haley told him she was pregnant. Haley had met him on a dating app and knew him as Miguel Nachama, I don't know how to say that, until he was arrested. While in prison, he repeatedly said to her, "I love my son. Can you put money on my books?" Haley, now knowing the real Anthony Dibiah, did not want a relationship with him. She could now see him for what he was, a controlling, manipulative con man who used her. On January 4th of 2016, Nakota had his first overnight visit with Anthony. These did not go well for Nakota. His father mostly ignored him. Haley will be telling us more about that. There were 5 formal complaints for abuse and neglect, DCS, against him. The first complaint was filed on the very first overnight that he had with his dad. Ignored Nakota during the visits, yet forced him to miss his Saturday baseball games. Controlling, threatening towards Haley. Quote, "I noticed that every time I reported it, the abuse got worse and it got more secretive." Fits the pattern. Physically, verbally, mentally, and abusive towards Nakota. Told cousin his motive for murdering Nakota was Haley had given him a very hard time and it cost him a lot of money in court. Told Haley on the Friday before he killed him, quote, "This is the last time I will work with you." When she met him later, then the parenting time guideline of 6 p.m. on Friday, July 17th. She allowed Nakota to go and attend his last baseball game of the season that night, which infuriated him because his parenting time was to start at 6 o'clock. He refused to attend the game. Haley took him to his dad after the game. Haley believes this is the reason he killed him. Looking back, in retrospect, I think that's very telling about this man. His job, no job. Anthony asked his cousin for money, but he did have a job. He had a pretty decent job. He told me about his job. I can't remember. I think it was like something in health services, like healthcare, like in a nursing home, I think. I'll have to go back and listen to the tapes because that's interesting since he's now claiming in court that he didn't know anything about getting mental health treatment. Yeah, he refused to speak to the detectives, and they basically had to force him to give a buccal swab of his DNA. Like, it was bad. So, January 1st of 2016 is the first overnight. Still working? Still connected? Looks like it. Okay. January 2016 complaint, the very first one for giving Nakota 2 of his ADHD pills at one time, having no food and no bed for Nakota. DCS go to his home and observe the lack of food and bed. Anthony says he goes to the store before he comes. Oh, how convenient. or they go out. He says he makes a cot on the floor for himself and Nakota sleeps in the bed alone. Yeah, right. DCS closes the case due to lack of evidence. February 2017, complaint 2 for dragging him down the stairs, leaving bruises. This was on November 2017. Complaint 3 for hitting him in the face, causing him to fall backwards over a couch and land on his back. June 2018, complaint number 4 for threatening to beat Haley in Nakota's presence. July 2018, Haley files a motion for supervised visits. Judge denied motion ordering mediation. November 2018, both sign an agreement to get along and never withhold parenting time if they suspect abuse or other issues and will let the courts deal with it. May 25th, 2020, Nakota gets his hair colored for his birthday. Anthony is furious. June 2020, complaint 5 for making him wear a shirt over his hair in public and holding Nakota down and shaving his head. See that? June 2020, judge tells Haley that she will be held in contempt of court if she ignores the parenting time order again. DCS claims they do not have enough proof for supervised visits. Nakota advocating for himself wasn't enough proof, even if you don't want to listen to the mother or the school. You should listen to the child. DCS claims they do not have enough. July 14th, Tuesday, Nakota tells his mom that his dad will kill him if he had to go on the 17th because he hung up on him. She informs DCS. July 16th or 17th, DCS closes the case against Dibiah. Look, I swear. They close the case. July 17th in the AM, Friday, Haley tells Anthony he can attend his game, that he can come to the game, but she is not going to make him miss his last game. And he said, quote, "I will call the police and my lawyer and will file a citation against you." July 17th, Nakota attended his game. At least he had that one happy time before his life was ended. July 17th, Friday. Haley takes him to meet Anthony at after 6. He is furious, tells her he will never work with her again. July 18th, 7:36, Saturday. Haley talks to Nakota on the phone. He said he had eaten 2 Lunchables and was watching YouTube on his phone. July 18th, I do know that time now, but I don't remember it. I want to say it was at 10. He calls his cousin to say he'd killed Nakota because his mom, Haley, was giving him a very hard time, costing him a lot of money in the court. The cousin called the police. And in the affidavit, it's most of this information is from the affidavit, but I don't know. I think I just didn't add it in because I have it. I have the documents, but July 18th at 10:10, IMPD dispatch for a welfare check at 607 West Lake South Drive, Apartment E, Indianapolis 46224. They hear someone in the apartment but do not enter. They didn't feel like they had a probable cause to enter. They note that his Jeep is in the parking lot. July 19th, this was at 11:30 something a.m. Anthony calls a friend to, no, that was in the morning. I don't know the time of that call. Anthony calls a friend to ask him if he could borrow a suitcase. The friend said yes, and he called him back. We read that earlier. Sunday, July 19th, at 11:43 a.m., officers are dispatched to his apartment. I haven't updated one of this, but I don't know. July 19th at 2:27 a.m. Sunday, the surveillance cam shows the Jeep leaving the complex heading northbound, which is towards Lowe's. On July 19th at 3:15 a.m., which is that Sunday, the Jeep returns. That's trip one. It's 48 minutes total. July 19th at 4:20 a.m., the Jeep leaves heading northbound back towards Lowe's. July 19th at 4:47 a.m., the Jeep returns. This is all on the cameras. Trip 2 is 27 minutes. July 19th at 6:22 a.m. to the 7:44 a.m., he leaves heading southbound and he returns. He was gone on that trip for an hour and 22 minutes, and his phone pinged. You'll see it here in a second, but it's literally like, I drove it. If you guys remember the live I did where I was out there, it took me 5 minutes tops to get to they have him on the camera leaving the apartment complex. It's a 5-minute drive to where his phone was pinging around, is that White River? Yeah. And so hour and 22 minutes at that location. And then at 8:30, the Jeep leaves for the last time. A male is seen opening the hatchback of the Jeep. The male makes 3 trips to and from the Jeep to his apartment building. On the second trip, the male is seen placing a bag in the community tip dumpster. And Anthony called the suitcase friend back and said that he'd killed his son by suffocating him with the bag and taking him to the bathroom to make sure he was dead, dumped it, and had left the state. The friend called the police. Friend gives them his cell phone number. IMPD returned with a warrant to get a key, and they make entry. Nakota, Anthony, and his Jeep are gone. They find blood in the entryway, smaller amount. Blood spatter and smears on the bathroom walls, mirror, vanity, floor, ceiling, closet door, along with 2 pieces of brain matter and black curly hair on the bathroom floor. 1 bedroom wall with blood on it. Brain matter and hair on the broom in the kitchen. This didn't end up being relevant because when I spoke to the officers, they were like both like personally, like we checked them all. We know that he was not placed in any of the tip dumpsters in the apartment complex or anywhere near on the trip that he took. Where his phone pinged, they checked that his entire route, and he did not put him in a dumpster. So he's somewhere still out there. Parts of him are still out there. July 19th at 2:01, Haley gets a text from Anthony and says, "Sometimes I hear voices. My son is in heaven." July 19th, Anthony is arrested near Annabelle, Missouri on U.S. Highway 36. IMPD call Missouri State Police to tell them Anthony was headed westbound on US 36 near Monroe City in Missouri. It is approximately a 32-minute drive from Monroe to Annabelle. This puts him near Monroe City at approximately 2:49. He texts Haley at 2:01. So the paper states that once they examined the Jeep, they determined that Nakota was not alive. So this is his route that he took. But I think that these are where I think his body is. And I've narrowed it down even more. He refused to make a statement. Just the ground team and helicopter searched the 2 locations. Anthony phone pinged the dumpster inside the apartment complex along with the apartment. This is the area that was searched. Eagle Creek. Sorry, not White River, Eagle Creek. But this is the street. So here's the apartment complex. And then you have to go down here. I don't know if you can see my arrow. You come out here southbound. I'm down here. Straight up here. This does not connect. And then straight down this road, and it tees right here. And then you kind of have to go like jog around, and then you can turn back right. And this, like, it's not on here, but that there is a road like right through here. So my cousin and we searched like right around in here. But this is the area that the police the search team searched for him. And this is just some pictures of their search. They were out there for a day and they didn't find anything. But again, they even said, please don't give up on searching that area. I think that's it. That was more things that we had found in our search. Here he is. He's so beautiful. Such a beautiful little boy. I would go to Google Earth and show you guys all this on Google Earth, but I know it's gonna crash, so I am going to call it a night. It's been a really long day. I really appreciate you guys being here. These are the cases that I wish more people would be here for, but you guys are, faithful, and you're here, and I know your hearts, and I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for being here for this little boy. And yeah, I'm just gonna still keep trying. You know how I am. I don't quit stuff. I don't give up very easily. It could be a blessing and a curse, but no one will ever be able to say, that was one thing that I learned with the Shannon Paul case, which was the very first case that I got involved with, and the family reached out to me for help. And I was interviewing one of Shannon's, her childhood, her best friend, because Shannon was murdered before she could have anything but a childhood. So I was interviewing her best friend, and she had said that about Shannon. She was like, like she loved her uncle, who sadly just passed away not too long ago. He said that he just said simply, she loved. She loved. And her friend said that she would just do anything for anyone. She always wanted to make sure everyone was good, and just the happiest little girl. And that she tried her best. She tried her best. And that's just always kind of stuck with me. When I die, I want people to know that I tried my best. Good night.